Are we up? Are we running?
I think
I didn't
so.
watch the countdown clock. Are we good?
Yeah, the countdown happened.
We're on YouTube. Yeah. Hello, YouTube people. So Ty Edmondson's with us. Our
Hello,
usual crew.
hello.
Usual crew's out and about doing holiday Christmas things, I'd imagine. But we're here to wrap up the year a little bit. If you're going to listen to the audio and not just watch the YouTube, that's awesome. Do what you will. But the audio is going to cover end of the year. But we got Ty. We got some YouTube silly stuff to talk about.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
maybe not so silly. One's a true taking it down topic. So before we get into that, Ty, last time we saw you, you were gonna move to Auburn for college.
That is true.
Yeah. Tell me, tell everybody
All right.
what the most jarring things these days are about moving away and starting school elsewhere. And I want to see if they were the same things I dealt with X number of
Definitely
years ago.
the lack of like parental like figures for sure is the biggest, especially if you're like moving away from home and being as like grateful as I was to have like parents that like really and truly did like provide for me. Like having to like food like figure that out by myself and literally everything like was a big jarring thing for me, and also going from a high school environment in a small town to a college environment in a very massive college town was
Yeah.
like extremely jarring because like there's so many different people of like so many different like walks of life and like different states, and like I've like made a good group of friends down there that's like mostly people from like Decatur, Alabama, but we have some people that are from like Texas and then like Florida, and like it's a really cool experience like being with them. But yeah, jarring in terms like the most jarring things by far were definitely like kind of the freedom of it and like being able to like provide for myself, and also like meeting a ton of new people.
Mm-hmm. You know, when I began college and even throughout, there was no social media. There was no internet.
Oh,
Internet was dial up.
yeah.
So I'm just curious how that might have played a role. Could you imagine
Yeah.
though?
Um I couldn't imagine like during your time, but like your time, like you're 80 years old.
Well,
No.
I'm close.
But for me it was so much easier to make friends because like the whole way that I made my friend group was I uh Claire actually sent me a post on Instagram of this like house show that was happening with like a local band at like a house. And without Instagram, I would have never heard about it. Like
Yeah.
I literally would have never been able to figure out about that. And I went there and I met people, and then like I got connected to a group, and then we communicate over like social media and stuff, and we like formulate hangouts and stuff that way because like we live a little bit away. But no, yeah, like without that kind of digital aspect of it, I definitely would not be in the same like area that I'm in.
Well, it's still, there's some similarities. We did
Hmm.
very similar things. We'd go to a house show or to a show somewhere, and you see the same person a couple times, and
Yeah.
you end up talking to them. Yeah, same thing. I I do want to ask you something a little
Hmm.
bit more taking it down related, uh, which is after one of our recent podcasts, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, we had talked about the curse
Hmm.
on Showtime. If you're not familiar with the curse, created by Benny Safdie and Nathan Fielder, starring Emma Stone and those two as well. But you sent me a message because we had talked about it. You'd seen that
Hmm.
we were going to talk about it, and you
Yeah.
immediately was like, "I got to know." You've seen an episode or two, right, of the
Yeah,
curse?
I've seen an episode. I've seen 2 episodes.
Okay, good. I've seen three. And I'm kind of in
Hmm.
catch up mode with it, but because I
Yeah,
think
same here.
we might jump back into that.
I'm
In
kind
the
of letting it
in
build
the
up for me as well.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, I said this in our episode about the curse. It's not something I could binge personally.
That's fair.
I can't do it. It's just too much.
That's very fair.
But I want to. But why? You know, you messaged me. I didn't really prod you about why, but now I am. It's perfect fodder
Hmm.
for our our bit here.
Yeah.
What has you going? What about it? So it was the Nathan Fielder aspect, I assume, but go
Yeah,
from there.
yeah, big time. So both Nathan and Benny Safdie are like two creators and like artists that I'm so interested in, and even to a certain degree, especially with Benny Safdie, inspired by for sure. In terms of his directing and writing, with like movies like Good Time and like Uncut Gems. But Nathan has always just been like a hilarious, like he's probably one of my favorite comedians ever, if you even want to call him that, because there the thing I love most about, I mentioned this to my brother like a little bit ago, is Nathan, for like, I don't know if you've checked out any of his other things, but he has The Rehearsal and Nathan For You are like his two main projects, and the entire point of those shows are kind of like they are like real world scenarios where like Nathan For You is a show where he like goes to failing businesses and like provides them very stupid ways to like increase their business, and 9 times out of 10 they just reject it and like don't do it. But like for one, like a coffee shop, you've definitely heard about this, a coffee shop was like failing and he renamed it to Dumb Starbucks and made it like a parody, and it was like huge, like it was massive, like they made so much money off of it. And he like does things like that, but the big draw of those shows is like Nathan is a person, you don't know where his acting and like comedy begins and him as a person ends. Like you have no clue where like that line is. And I feel like with The Curse, him acting in this show, like it being an actual like scripted TV show,
Right.
is so interesting for him, because I don't know like is he just being himself and just like reading these lines, or is he playing a character? Like because if you watch The Curse and you watch Nathan For You, they're like the same person. Like,
Really?
like, they're very similar. And like Nathan For You, he's a little more goofy of a guy in Nathan For You, and in The Curse, like he seems like a little more conserved, I guess. Blunt, very like boring to a certain extent.
Yes.
But
there's some acting there, obviously.
yeah,
I think.
Yeah. But that was what made me just so interested in it. And I watched it with someone who has not seen any of his other stuff.
Yeah, neither have I.
Either. Yeah, and she was so like, she didn't know how to feel about it entirely, because it's very hard to watch. The scene in the first episode, which minor spoilers, but it's shown in the trailer as well, where
it's the opening scene.
Yeah, well,
in case you want to skip, 30 seconds.
I'm talking about the money scene. Is what I'm referring to. Similar, yeah. So the scene where he like gives the money to the girl, and then like goes and like takes it back. That scene was like, to me, I was dying laughing, because I'm like, I laugh at like very awkward scenarios like that. Like that like kills me. But like the person I was watching it with, she literally had to turn away with like anxiety. Like she was so like recoiling, because like it feels real, because it's like it's supposed to be like a show. Like it's it's supposed to be like a documentary or whatever. The house flipping show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I love about it the most, is just the pure, it feels like no other show on the air. Like it feels like no other show that I've seen before, other than like Nathan's other work. But even then, it's so distinct from his other work as well.
Yeah. The first episode can be hard to get through. I do think it lessens its grip on the cringe, and gets a little bit more plot driven 2 and 3.
Yeah. Definitely two.
I can relate to your girlfriend's reaction. That's the exact reaction I had, and I discussed that a little bit more in depth when we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
It is.
Every scene was designed to build upon the induced feeling of horror it's giving you.
Yeah.
The ATM scene, I was just appalled. I was like, please don't give them your pen.
That's what I was saying,
please
too.
don't give them your pen.
That was destroying me. You've seen How To with John Wilson, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Similar vibes. Nathan Fielder co-produces that show, and Nathan For You and like How To with John Wilson. John Wilson as a person is very similar to Nathan Fielder in the way that he's like very like anxiety filled, very like not good in
Yeah, yeah,
like
but I would.
one-on-ones and like
No, he's not. I would argue that John Wilson has a more benign presence. He has a more innocence to him.
he does. He does.
Yeah. Okay.
I've
I
been
was just
watching
gonna
that
check.
recently too.
Yeah, you're not
That's
caught up, huh?
I'm not caught up, but that
C-
I think I've watched all of season 1. I think I'm finished with
Okay.
season 1. But
Because it ended this year, which is something.
oh, it did?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang. I
Third
didn't know
season.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's only like 6 episodes or so each season, or something very
Yeah.
short, 30 minutes. Yeah. Interesting. They are going for this. I say they. John Wilson's the only one I can comment on thoroughly. He goes for that just incredibly stripped bare reality. Like, I'm here with a camera. Go. No prep time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I'm going to
That
ask the
is
questions. Boom.
that's
Right?
very similar to Nathan. Yeah, big time.
Except
Especially
that
in Nathan
John's
for
not
You.
trying to get you into any sort of laughter, which is what happens.
True.
Happens. But
True.
he always ends up with some sort of odd
There's
scenario.
always something. There's always something. The one that's burned into my mind. I know we're going on a tangent now, but the one that's
It's
burned in
perfect.
my mind is definitely the foreskin thing in season
Oh,
1.
that's okay. So, without saying anything much, is he manages somehow to top it. There is an episode that
Are you
tops that.
serious?
Yes, yes. I'm not gonna say anything else except that. Yeah. Oh, that one will live with you rent free in your head. If you ever watch season 1 of How to with John Wilson, that's all he had to say. He really didn't even have to say that. The
No, yeah,
foreskin episode. Say no more.
The fact that that one starts by I think it was talking about scaffolding.
You may be right.
That's the scaffolding episode.
Yeah.
It's-
Where does life take you? That's John Wilson. I'm curious to see what he comes up with next, though.
I'm very curious. I think he has a really bright future.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
really excited.
He's painfully awkward in a very dorky, relatable.
Mhm.
I've been there, at least not that badly, kind of way.
Yeah.
Fielder strikes me as a guy who's trying to get that out of someone else.
He
maybe.
is. He is. He's definitely John Wilson to me is more of a person, if that makes sense. Like he feels very like I know someone like that. Like I know someone like John Wilson, like to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
And Nathan is definitely more of an artist, like in the sense of like he is performing.
Yes.
This is what he is doing, especially with there's a bit in Nathan for You where it's a whole episode where he takes kids and he takes parents really and he asks them if it's okay to do what he's about to do. And the stunt that he was about to do was he was about to sit children in front of him, have a police officer on the right, and have a robot that is slowly unzipping his pants. And if Nathan gets out of the handcuffs in time to stop the robot, then he will not be a sex offender. But if his pants are pulled down, then he will be legally registered as a sex offender. And he's like,
That's horrifying.
he's talking to the parents and he's like, now listen, there is a chance that they could be exposed to a part of my body that I'm not comfortable with showing them. And honestly, any parent that agrees to, he was paying them $100, the parents $100 to let their kids do this. And he said, any parent that agrees to let their children do this should just feel so ashamed. I mean, their faces are definitely going to be blurred in this recording. And in the recording, their faces are blurred at literally 5%. Knew someone.
So that's part of it, though.
No, yeah, he
Does he go
he's
through
such
with it?
it's very tame. It's much more tame than you think he would be. He gets out of it, obviously.
Well, thank God.
He gets out of it, obviously. But the robot's very slowly in a minute, you see the robot unbutton and then take his belt off and stuff. It's pretty funny. That's a great episode. That's a great bit. But
You are probably the third or fourth person to tell me I've got to watch Nathan
Oh
Fielder's work,
yeah.
and this is the first time I've gotten around to catching one as it launched. Uh, but I do notice reverberations online that people who love The Curse tend to have seen Nathan Fielder's work, so
That is
that
usually
adds up.
the consensus. I will say that I personally would find it pretty challenging if I hadn't seen any of Nathan's work, like literally anything, and I knew nothing about him
Hmm.
other than like maybe a couple clips online.
That's me.
I probably wouldn't like The Curse as much as I am right now. And I definitely understand people having doubts about it, but to me, like even just seeing Nathan do something that's like as interesting as this is, like I'll overlook some things that like sure the pacing is shabby, the pacing is a little it feels like it's not really paced. Like it feels like they didn't really think about in terms of like how this show should flow, which I am only on episode 2.
That was my biggest criticism of it. Uh, yes, that was my biggest criticism. I thought that the pacing was just a little too shabby. You're
Yeah.
right. There would, yeah, yeah. But you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I am only on episode 2, so I'm sure that picks up as kind of the general plot picks up more. But Nathan's always been very good, and it's so clear that he's doing it just as well in this episode of just making the most. Just is that your cat? In the
That's a
back?
cat. That's a cat. I don't edit the YouTube stuff. It's you're getting this.
Perfect. Just like
It's perfect Nathan fodder.
Oh yeah,
Fielder fodder.
dude, he is a cat person. He loves cats.
Bro, it
He's a cat
adds
dad.
up. There you go.
But I'm sure that gets a little better as the plot gets developed and stuff. But I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, me too.
It's all right.
So the curse.
But just in general, I enjoy it a lot because I love Nathan, and I can definitely see, and also Emma Stone is fantastic in it. I haven't even
really
mentioned
good.
her. She's so great in it. She's perfect. And she's been having a great year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to kind of see how the award season lines up for her.
That's a good segue. What we'll do is we'll break here. If you're on YouTube, you can always go jam the audio, and we'll probably cover some of Emma Stone's work. Maybe sounds like that's a tease for that. But the curse is on Showtime. Let us know what you think. It's I called it horror cringe.
Oh yeah, that's a
It's-
perfect description.
Yeah, it horrified me. But the point I think the one thing I was going to mention is it took me talking through it to realize I think I did like it. So
That's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's very fair. I think it takes time, for sure.
yeah. If I'd seen Nathan Fielder's work, I think I would have kind of gotten the idea of the show a little better, more quickly.
I think so as well.
Yeah. Challenging. Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, what we'll do is this is the end of our YouTube show, and what you can do is you go find the audio, which is also on YouTube if you prefer. All right, see you everyone later.